Now he's looking at himself and he's seeing God. And when he sees God and he sees himself, then he changes the whole thing and says, woe is me. I think this is the key. When you look to people's sins and you want to judge them according to their sins, it's an incredible thing, because so often when we look to them and we want to judge them, we literally, in a sense, we make ourselves almost greater than God. Because if God hasn't judged them, then we think, okay, Lord, there's a problem with what you're doing. There's a problem with how you're working these things out. And I think basically we need to, fix this. And we judge the sinner, not just the sin. And because of that we judge, because of how we judge, because of the way we judge, it's important that God begins to kind of to warn us and to challenge us and to chastise us about how it is that we judge and why we judge and about those kind of things. James teaches us this when we judge. And I think it's important in this whole issue of judging, because he makes a statement that when you do judge and you are acting basically above everything else, and you're thinking, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a statement that I can be the one to judge all things. And he makes a statement that he says this: when you judge, he says, do you not even judge the law, thinking that you're better, thinking that you can do all these things? And so when we have this issue of judging, he says, remember now what the law tells us. He says, love God and love people. But if you can judge them to condemnation, and you think that I'm so good that I can be that judge, that all of a sudden what begins to happen is this. God says, you're judging yourself. Because if you're not loving, if you're not doing what the fulfillment of the commandment is, that you yourself should be loving, not judging. God says, I'm loving. And when I'm going to judge, I'm going to literally judge them according to my Son. That you received him, you received this gift, or you rejected him. So I want you to see that in this passage, as we're looking to this, that even Moses says, listen, judge me. Eventually Isaiah says, I can't judge anyone. Why? Because I'm judging me. And I think what happens is when Paul is here in this text, and he says, I'm looking at these countrymen, and I'm looking, and I know they're sinners, and I'm praying for the sinners. I know these sinners are sinning, and I'm not going to be judging them according to that. I'm going to ask God to judge them in the same way that he's judged me through his Son. Would they come and receive the blessing of this forgiveness that he has?